Hi there, friends. My name is Jess, and welcome to Kissed by Bliss. Soulful radiance for your everyday flow. Burning the candle at both ends, yet yearning to put the spark back in your heart? You've just found your match. Here on Kissed by Bliss, we're passionate about nurturing your entire being, cultivating true happiness, and having those raw, real conversations that resonate with real-life moments. In each episode, we'll journey through the mind, body, and soul to ignite your inner fire and reveal your most radiant self. Together, we'll unlock the secrets to living a life that's both prosperous and soul-satisfying. So, if you're buckled up and ready to go, Kissed by Bliss starts now. Hello, beautiful friends, and welcome to another episode of Kissed by Bliss. I'm your host, Jessica Suzanne. I am so happy to be here with you today because this episode, this one's different. This one's special. And I wouldn't feel right talking about building a blissful life if I left out what I'm about to share with you today. So in our last episode, I promised to help you create the strongest foundation for your year ahead. And as I thought about what that really means, what truly creates lasting change for the better, I realized I needed to share something with you. Because the most powerful foundation isn't built on what we add to our lives, but on what we have the courage to release. And so, think about it for a moment. What could your next year look like if you knew how to release the one thing that's been holding you back? That's the head start that I want to give you today and in the coming episodes. For me, this one thing was alcohol. And what began as a social companion, a way to feel accepted and belong, gradually became my personal and professional ceiling, dimming the light that I knew I was meant to share with the world. And so I've waited almost 3 years to fully share this part of my path because I really wanted to honor the process and ensure that my decision was anchored in unwavering 100% certainty. And today, I can say that it is. So over the next 4 episodes, I'll be sharing my complete path to liberation, mind, body, spirit, and heart. Exactly how I freed myself from the one thing that was holding my dreams hostage. Because whether it's an addiction, an autopilot behavior, a mindset block, or anything of the sort, most of us all have that one thing that we know is holding us back from reaching our next level. And so the first step is to know that no matter where you find yourself today, give yourself grace and compassion because our limitations are actually part of our very own soul blueprint. We are given these sacred challenges because they are designed for our spiritual evolution. And so within this blueprint, our soul has specific obstacles to overcome so that we can rise into the full and beautiful lives that each of us are destined for, which is exactly what we have been talking about so far on the Kissed by Bliss podcast. And as I said in the last episode, as I dove deeper into my healing and spiritual evolution, I began experiencing moments of pure bliss like I'd never known before. And today, that Bliss is a main character in my life. And so I knew that if I could help others feel this, even for a moment, that their lives would change forever. And so here we are. Let's build that foundation for the new year together, starting with the courage to look at what needs to be released so that you can fully embrace what's waiting to emerge. And so they say, your story is your offering. And so here is mine. My dad always said that alcohol took my sparkle away. And he's right. I wasn't myself when I drank, and I wasn't one of those people who could just have one and be done. One would always lead to more, followed by regret the next day. And it was a cycle that had me in its grip for longer than I ever wanted. And so my story with alcohol begins, like many others, in childhood, where I watched it become a normal way of living. My parents divorced when I was young, and while they remained friends, their social world revolved around drinking. Happy hours, weekends at the lake, Sunday football, holidays. Pretty much every single activity that we did involved alcohol, which ultimately became my blueprint for connection. Growing up as an only child, I spent a lot of time alone. Even though I knew my parents loved me deeply, their careers and social lives often meant I was left to entertain myself. And so I remember I would go to school, come home, do my homework, watch my afternoon lineup of shows, all the greats, right? Saved by the Bell and Days of Our Lives, 90210. It's like, man, I lived for these shows, but if I'm honest, the only thing that was ever really next to me was either a Tostino's pizza or like a Tupperware bowl full of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And I don't know, this is like what I can remember doing pretty much every single day. I gained a lot of weight. I was really lost in who I was. And I just didn't really have much direction. Not a lot of middle schoolers do, I'm sure. But by the time freshman year hit, I was over feeling this way. I didn't want to feel sad anymore. I didn't want to feel alone. I didn't want to feel grossed out in my own body. I wanted to change. I wanted to feel pretty. I wanted to fit in and be liked and feel like I actually belonged. And so I did what any young girl looking for attention does. Throwing myself into extreme diets, obsessive exercise, metabolism pills, you name it, I tried it. And it worked, at least on the surface. Suddenly I was the popular pretty girl that everyone wanted to hang with. I had the cool house, the cool basement, the hot mom, which don't even get me started on how much that drove me up the wall. But all that being said, this popularity came with a price. And throughout my school years, this constant need to belong and feel accepted deepened, and alcohol became my best buddy, the only way I really knew how to connect and make new friends. And by the time I started my corporate career, it was so normalized that the cycle of happy hours and networking events and working through hangovers just felt like a normal part of being successful. It's what everyone did, right? Work hard, play harder. And so it took losing my own mom to force a rock bottom that ultimately became my solid ground. An opportunity for real change in my life. And what followed wasn't just another attempt at change. It was a spiritual awakening that would reshape my entire reality. And I realized deep in my bones, this true revival that I was seeking would require leaving behind everything I ever knew. And so I made a very difficult choice, ending a 3-year relationship with someone I still loved to find the love within myself. And so, guided by the whispers of God, I packed up a U-Haul and drove towards a new life in sunny California, where my real journey to freedom would begin. And so my little condo on the water became more than a home. It became my sanctuary for healing, where I confronted my shadows head on. I journaled, I meditated, I prayed every single day. And slowly but surely, happy hours became sound baths. Sunday mimosas became Sunday service. Numbing out became tuning in. And my heart became more and more hopeful that I could actually do this, that I could actually let go of this darkness that haunted me for way too long. And so 2 days after my 38th birthday, on April 4th, 2022, I made the decision to embrace a life without alcohol. And with each step forward, I shed another layer of fear and doubt and began to see myself and the world in a completely new light. This letting go has become my proudest accomplishment and has taken my greatest strength. And now I sit here today knowing with 100% certainty that my purpose is to guide others who are also seeking their own light and liberation. Because this path from shadows to getting my sparkle back has become my testimony to the resilience of the human spirit. A reminder that within each of us burns a divine flame of freedom. And above us shines divine rays of love that are waiting to bring each and every one of us back to life. Your timeline is always your own, and change comes when you're ready. And when you are ready, know that you're not alone on this path to true and lasting freedom. Speaking of lasting freedom, you know what I've noticed about this journey of awakening? There's something profound that happens when we first begin to wake up to our limitations. It's like being in this delicate dance between awareness and action. We start to notice how we've just been going through the motions of life without really taking the time to look at anything deeper. And there's this quiet whisper inside telling us that there must be more, that surely our dreams should feel more free, that we should feel more alive. But here's the divine truth that I've learned. That whisper, it's not just discontent. It's your soul trying to guide you home. I saw this play out clearly with my mom. She was this beautiful, creative soul, a poet at heart who dreamed of working with animals. But life happened. Pregnancy, bills, responsibilities. And before she knew it, she was climbing the corporate ladder at my grandfather's dealership. And she got caught up in what looked like success from the outside. The promotions, the happy hours, the boys' club acceptance. And she rose to the top. But at what cost? She'd tell me about her dreams of a different life. The white picket fence, the horses in the backyard, true love. But her dreams got buried under the weight of what seemed practical, what seemed expected. The alcohol and toxic work culture didn't just dim her light. They convinced her that her dimness was normal. And this is where so many of us find ourselves, knowing something isn't quite right, but afraid to look deeper. Because once we really see it, once we acknowledge that maybe this isn't what we're meant for, then what? It feels safer to pour another glass of wine, to stay in the familiar of discomfort, than to step into the unknown. And you know what? Sometimes we're not always ready for that step, and that's perfectly okay. We all have our own paths, our own timelines, our own sacred moment of readiness. And so the key isn't forcing yourself to be ready. It's being honest about where you are. Because true change, soul-level transformation, requires a willingness to do whatever it takes. If you're not there yet, honor that. But if you're feeling that stirring, that quiet knowing that it's time for something different, that's your soul speaking. That's your higher self reaching down to help you rise. My mom's story didn't end with the happily ever after that she dreamed of, but her journey taught me something invaluable. Our limitations aren't just habits or patterns. They're the very things keeping us from our soul's truest happiness. And so the question isn't whether we need to change. The question is, are we ready to remember who we really are? If you've been following along, we've explored the radiant soul path and the universal elements to bliss. One working on your internal energy and the other on your external actions. And it's within this inner and outer harmony that we find true and lasting liberation. While I recommend watching those previous episodes, you can absolutely start here and circle back whenever it feels right. And so in order to weave these two pieces of the liberation puzzle together, I created a beautiful framework called the Glow Freedom Method. And this method has become the heartbeat of Kissed by Bliss, and really the glue that binds our radiant soul path and the universal elements to bliss together, forming one simple roadmap to freedom and catapulting you into what I call Blissville, baby. And so the Glow Freedom Method is a step-by-step process moving through 4 stages of personal, professional, and spiritual evolution. And by following this path, you can overcome any limitation and shine from your authentic truth. Let me quickly break down these stages for you, and then we will take time to go through them one by one today and in the coming episodes. And so, as I said, the Glow Freedom Method is comprised of 4 stages. We have G for growth. This is all about becoming aware of exactly what it is that's stopping you from reaching your next level and beginning to picture your life without it. Next, we have L, liberation. And this is getting to the root, going all the way back to the beginning, feeling all the emotions of your journey, and actually beginning to get a taste of what your life would look like if you decided to let it go altogether. Next, we have O for oneness, and oneness is how you let it go for good through spiritual connection, divine wisdom, and by building real and authentic connection with others on your same path. Then we have our final glow stage, which is W, which stands for well-being. And so if oneness is how you let it go for good, well-being is how you keep it gone, making sure that your mind, body, soul, and heart are set up for success and attuned to your very new and elevated version of self. And so now we're going to go into Soul School, where we turn these concepts into action with simple practices that you can weave into your everyday rhythm. Today, we are starting with growth, and we will go through the other stages in the next episodes. But our first step is actually identifying what's holding our liberation hostage. You know, while mine was alcohol, yours could be something completely different. And so you might already know exactly what it is, that thing that keeps showing up in your journal, in your quiet moments, in those late night thoughts when you're really being honest with yourself. But if you're not quite sure, let's take a moment right now and ask yourself these questions. What pattern keeps showing up in my life that doesn't serve my highest good? Where do I feel stuck or like I'm playing smaller than I know I could be? What behavior or habit do I wish I could change but feels impossible right now? What's the thing I know deep down is holding me back from reaching my next level? The answer might be a substance like alcohol, a behavior like overworking, a pattern like people-pleasing, or even a mindset like self-doubt. Whatever it is, name it. Because just by naming it, it begins to reduce its power over you. And so once you've identified your limitation, you can begin the gentle practice of awareness. And so today I want to give you 3 simple ways to start. And so number 1 is what I call the morning mirror moment. So when you're getting ready for the day, just take 60 seconds to look into your own eyes and ask yourself, what would become possible in my life without, insert your limitation, without alcohol, without working to the bone every moment, without this fear in my heart. And don't judge whatever comes up, just notice. Number 2 is what I call truth triggers. And so throughout your day, when you feel the pull of your limitation, pause for just 3 breaths. You don't need to change anything yet. Just notice when it happens, and maybe you want to jot down what triggered it. And then number 3 is the evening check-in. And so before bed, place a hand on your heart and take 30 seconds to imagine one small moment in tomorrow's schedule without your limitation. And so these practices are meant to be gentle. Remember that we're not trying to change anything yet. We're simply bringing light to what is, creating space for what could be. And the key here is curiosity without judgment. Each time you notice your patterns, you're planting a seed for your revival, for change, for transformation. And so next week, we'll move into the liberation stage, where we'll begin actively working with what we've discovered in today's episode. But for now, focus on identifying your limitation and these simple practices of noticing. And remember, beautiful friends, your most radiant self is already within you. We're simply creating the space for her to shine. And now for our kiss of bliss. a moment to pause and really experience what's possible. And so I invite you to find a comfortable space, whether you're driving, walking, or able to close your eyes. And let's take these next few minutes to feel into the freedom that awaits. So take a deep breath in through your nose and release it slowly through your mouth. Let your shoulders drop, releasing any tension that you're holding. Place one hand on your heart and imagine a soft, warm light beginning to glow beneath your palm. This is your inner wisdom, your truth, your power. Now think of that limitation that we identified earlier and notice where you feel it in your body. No judgment, just awareness. Take another deep breath, and as you exhale, imagine that limitation beginning to dissolve, like morning mist in the sunlight. Feel yourself stepping into a moment in your future. An ordinary day, but one where you're completely free from this limitation. Notice how differently you move through your day. How does your body feel moving through life without this weight? What new choices are available to you? How does it feel to trust yourself fully and completely? Let yourself feel this aliveness, the clarity, the pure potential that exists within you. This isn't just a dream. This is your birthright. This is who you truly are. Take one more deep breath, feeling that freedom, that power, that clarity in every cell of your body. Let it remind you of what's possible. And whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes or bring your awareness back to your surroundings, knowing that this feeling of freedom lives within you always. It's not something you need to create. It's simply waiting to be uncovered. And so remember this feeling. It is your truth. It is your natural state, and this is what awaits on your path to true liberation. Sending love, hugs, and high vibes. I will chat with you soon. Mwah. Hi there, friends. My name is Jess, and welcome to Kissed by Bliss. Soulful radiance for your everyday flow. Burning the candle at both ends, yet yearning to put the spark back in your heart? You've just found your match. Here on Kissed by Bliss, we're passionate about nurturing your entire being, cultivating true happiness, and having those raw, real conversations that resonate with real life moments. In each episode, we'll journey through the mind, body, and soul to ignite your inner fire and reveal your most radiant self. Together, we'll unlock the secrets to living a life that's both prosperous and soul satisfying. So, if you're buckled up and ready to go, Kissed by Bliss starts now.